This is me. As a drinks man, I've been lucky enough to travel the world pouring drinks and mixing cocktails for all sorts of people, and it's provided me with a really good living. But until recently, I hadn't had much time to explore my love of food, other than swapping cocktails and wine for kitchen secrets from some of the world's best chefs. So I made a few phone calls, packed my bags and camera, and set off on my own culinary adventure to discover my farming childhood roots, the food I grew up with. I like to call it green food, and this is the story of a generation of people who embrace it.
So this is dairy country on the Canterbury Plains in the South Island of New Zealand. Here's where a majority of the cheese comes from for the whole of New Zealand and its export. So we're here to see the actual natural way of taking milk from the cow into the kitchen to make cheese and butter. Let's go have a look.
My first stop was to visit my dad, Russell Wood, aka Gandalf the Green. He's been a farmer for as long as I can remember, and his love of nature is as infectious as it is inspiring. So what better way to start this trip than with some guidance mixed in with some long overdue quality family time.
Is there some advantage to farming salmon as opposed to just letting them do their own thing in the wild?
Well, supporting the wild fishery is something that I've been involved with, yes. Supporting the wild fishery by releasing hatched fish, or fingerlings, into the wild fishery has improved the catch rate for us salmon fishermen by about 100%.
With that amount of cows, are the waterways being affected where it affects the fish stocks?
Oh, definitely. But that effect got to a point where a lot had to be done about it very quickly. And in the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of progress has been made in returning those streams back to a state where they will carry fish stocks again.
Dad thought it would be a good idea to meet dairy farmer friend of his, Bryan, who's passionate about producing top quality organic milk. So it was up at the crack of dawn, like all good dairy farmers do, to collect some unfiltered milk for a cheese making session later that afternoon.
They call it the hygiene hypothesis, don't they? Where if we kill every damn bacteria on the planet, we're going to be dead. We're going to be clean and sterile and living in a vacuum.
Yeah.
But we ain't going to lead much of a long-term, healthy, sustainable lifestyle, are we?
And you think organic milk has more to give somebody in terms of stuff to fight against?
In terms of its nutrition, in terms of in terms of having access to raw milk, for example.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful food for challenging and strengthening the immune system.
The process of milking cows twice daily, year-round, while your fingers turn blue in freezing cold weather is only imaginable to me if you can look out on Tolkien-esque mountains while you do it. But it was cheese I came here for, so it's back to Dad's for a crash course in gourmet, homemade cheese.
So Dad, we have fresh, filtered milk straight from the farm. You're going to tell me, how do you make cheese?
Righto. First of all, we've got to heat it. And we put it on the bain-marie on the stove over there to heat that, but we take it up to temperature and check it with this 100-year-old thermometer to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. We add some rennet, which is a product made from calf's stomachs, and we add some culture, and we add some white mould, because we're going to be making brie and camembert today, which has white mould on the outside, and you've got to add it.
So after the milk has solidified, it's cut in the pot and left to rest before it's packed into cheese molds where the whey drains from the curds. It's then left to rest in a humid dark bucket in the pantry. After a few days, a more exciting, solid and cheese-like result is achieved.
See, now it tastes totally different from commercial manufactured camembert. Excellent.
What a brilliant start to this journey. Dad had set me up with the wind in my sails before I headed back to Australia. But before I jumped a plane, he took me to the Rangitata River mouth, a sacred salmon fishing spot for him and many other fishermen. This favourite pastime is why he protects and invests in the fish stocks for generations to come. And once you've spent a few moments on the riverbank, you'll clearly understand why.
It's always great to come back to New Zealand, fresh air and majestic mountains, but this was a really good grounding for me to see how sustainability can work in a household on a domestic level. It's catching your own fish, growing your own vegetables, making your own cheese, just as a simple form of getting the produce that you need into your own house. But now my journey takes me back to Australia and all around Australia. I'm a bit sad to be leaving really, but quite excited to take the next leg, which is 3,000 miles around Australia, visiting chefs and people who do it on a commercial and professional level. Let's go!